Today we're going to be going over the pros and cons of living in Coloma and Lotus. Now, I know there's two town names there, but it's really just one area down on the South Fork of the American River in Dorado County. And as usual, I'm going to be giving you 5 pros, 5 cons, and 1 maybe that you'll have to decide, is it a pro or a con for your family. I'm also going to be making the case that these two little towns are the best kept secret in Northern California. These are the 2 most amazing towns that you've never heard of, so you're going to want to stick around and find out all about them. Starting with pro number 1, which is recreation. But first, let me give you a little orientation to where these towns are and why they're so important. All right, let's start off with where these places are. As I said, there's 2 town names there, Coloma and Lotus, but they're essentially just one area right along Highway 49 and right along the South Fork of the American River. If you look at the map of Dorado County, you'll find Placerville roughly in the middle. That's our county seat. We talk about that a lot on this channel. And just 15 minutes north along Highway 49, you'll find the towns of Coloma and Lotus. Now, the town of Coloma essentially is mostly just Marshall Gold Discovery State Park, and everything else around it is the town of Lotus. And this is a rural part of our county, but a very important one because of the historical significance of the Gold Discovery State Park. Gold was discovered January 1st, 1848, and just 2 years later, we became a state. Now, we probably would have become a state anyway down the line, but not right then if it wasn't for the gold discovery. So Coloma is essentially the birthplace of California. It all started here, and we wouldn't have been a state at the time we became a state if it wasn't for this place. All right, there's your brief intro to where they are and why they're important. Let's get right into pro number 1. Pro number 1 of living in Coloma and Lotus has to be recreation, and specifically outdoor adventure-based recreation. As I said, it has the South Fork of the American River running through it, which is the 2nd most commercially rafted river in the country. So thousands of people come in to run that river every summer. More on that later and how that affects the town. But for now, just based on recreation, the South Fork of the American River gives a lot of tourist recreation, but also gives the locals a lot of recreation. There is whitewater rafting, whitewater kayaking, whitewater stand-up paddleboarding, tubing, and just going down to the beach and enjoying the water and the river on a hot day. So the South Fork of the American River makes this town very special and very unique from a recreation standpoint, but that's not all it has. It also has Magnolia Ranch and Cronin Ranch and Acorn Creek, where you have a huge extensive trail system, trails that go on forever really, and great mountain biking. So whether it's whitewater recreation, hiking, mountain biking, Coloma and Lotus have it all, and you're just 15 minutes off the highway. When it comes to recreation, it really doesn't get any better than this area for the outdoor enthusiast. All right, right about now, you might be wondering who I am and why you should be listening to me about real estate, Coloma, Lotus, or anything at all, really, and that's a fair question. My name is Rich Curtis with eXp Realty, and I've been selling homes in Dorado County for nearly 20 years now, in markets ranging from the Great Recession to the COVID market insanity and everything in between. So when it comes to Dorado County real estate, I've got you covered. My goal with this channel is to help you make the highest quality real estate decisions you can from the comfort of your couch. And when it comes to this video, the other reason you should listen to me is I lived in these towns for over a decade of my life. All right, let's get right back to it with pro number 2. Pro number 2 is natural beauty, and this place has it in spades. We're at about 1,100 feet above sea level here, and so we are in the oak belt. We're below the pine trees. This is our rolling oak hilllands, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Now, in the end of the winter and beginning of the spring, when it's all green, it's gorgeous, but even when it turns that nice brown California hill summer color, this place has views to die for. When the sun sets in Coloma and Lotus behind the oak trees over those brown hills, it is absolutely gorgeous. And the valley itself provides endless framing for those views, whether it be standing on the Murphy Bridge over the South Fork of the American River, or down at Cronin Ranch, or down at Magnolia Ranch, or on the top of Mount Murphy. Wherever you are in town, you have gorgeous, gorgeous views, whether it's sunset, golden hour, or in the mornings as the sun rises. When you're sitting on the South Fork of the American River and the mist is rising off the river and the sun is rising and it's turning pink and blue in the sky, there is no place more beautiful. And it doesn't stop just there. It's not all sunrises and sunsets, it's also the extensive trail systems. We have gorgeous waterfalls, we have beautiful creeks, we have the river itself, and nonstop trails to go and enjoy. If you like natural beauty, you like living in a beautiful area, and you want to be in a place where you feel like you're out in the woods all the time, it doesn't get any better than Coloma and Lotus. Hey, if you've made it this far and you're getting anything at all out of this video, hit the like button, click subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss another video with crucial information for your relocation to Dorado County or one of our home tour videos that might just have your dream home in it. Pro number 3 of living in Coloma and Lotus is having space around you. Most of the homes are on 5 and 10 acres or even more down here. So you don't have close neighbors. You don't have homes in your view shed. You don't have people right up in your face. You feel like you have a lot of room to breathe. You have a lot of land around you. If you are into homesteading or having animals on your property, or you just want a lot of space and buffer from your neighbors, then Coloma and Lotus is going to be the place for you. Pro number 4 of living in Coloma and Lotus is proximity. It's really not that far out. Yes, you feel like you're out in the woods. Yes, you have the beautiful rivers and the waterfalls. And yes, the homes are on 5 and 10 acres, so you don't have neighbors in your face. And you feel like you're in this really rural place and you're far out. But it's just 15 minutes in one of 2 different directions to be on Highway 50. It really isn't that far out. You can be at the hospital in 15 to 20 minutes. You can be at the grocery store in 15 to 20 minutes. You can be on the highway in 15 to 20 minutes. You can be in downtown Sacramento in 45 to 50 minutes. You have that rural, far out feel, but you're not actually that far out. All right, pro number 5, and this is a big one for me and my family, and maybe it doesn't matter to you, but being a wilderness guy, being someone who spent a huge chunk of my life out guiding trips in the wilderness, one of the things that's really important to me is being able to see the night sky, seeing the stars at night. And it's something that my kids really love as well. Now, living here in the city of Placerville, we have streetlights, which cause light pollution, which makes it hard to see the stars at night. Down in the valley in Coloma and Lotus, not only do you not have streetlights, you don't have any light pollution, and you can see an unfettered view of the sky, but it also is a rare spot geologically in the state of California. Most of our rivers are in steep and deep river canyons where you can only see a tiny slice of the sky. Well, the 6 miles of river that run through Coloma and Lotus are in a wide open, beautiful valley. So from most of the homes in Coloma and Lotus, depending on tree cover around the house, you're gonna have an unfettered view of the dark night sky. And so stargazing is off the charts down in Coloma and Lotus. If you love that sort of thing, if you wanna spend summer nights laying out on your deck, looking at the stars with your kids, then it's a great place to live. If by the end of this video, you still aren't sure if Coloma and Lotus are right for you, or you wanna get a better idea of some of the other areas or have help figuring out where you should land in El Dorado County, feel free to reach out to me via the contact information on your screen or in the description down below. As I said, I've been selling homes here for nearly 20 years, and I've helped hundreds of families just like yours decide where to land in El Dorado County, and I'm always happy to help. All right, now on with the cons. Look, if you've watched this far, you can tell by my exuberance and the things I had to say in the pros category that I really love these 2 little towns, and no place is perfect. Every place has its own unique faults and challenges that are important for you to know before you move there, because one of those faults or challenges might be a deal breaker for you and your family. So even though I love these 2 little towns, let's go over the cons right now and make sure there's no deal breakers on this list for your family, and make sure to wait for that maybe so you can make sure these are the right places for you to live. Starting with con number 1, which is heat. It's a hot area. It's only 1,100 feet above sea level in El Dorado County, where it's a pretty hot place. So we're talking 90s most of the summer and a lot of triple-digit days as well. Now, you have the river there to cool off in, which is a really great bonus if you live in these areas, but there's no way around it. It's a hot place to live, and if you don't like hot summers, Coloma and Lotus won't be the right place for you. Con number 2 is fire insurance. Now look, if you live in California, you know this is an issue affecting the whole state, and you're just as likely to hit this issue in the Oakland Hills or in parts of Southern California as you are here. But when it comes to our county, the fire insurance cost is something that has affected our community greatly, and certain parts of the county are gonna be higher and more expensive than other parts of the county. So by comparison, if you were to purchase a home in the downtown Placerville area, your insurance would be much lower. And if you purchase a home in the Coloma and Lotus area, your hazard insurance due to fire risk is going to be a lot higher. So it's something you have to factor in when you're looking at homes down there. In reality, you're going to be looking at probably a minimum of $5,000 to $6,000 a year premium for any home in Coloma and Lotus. And if it's a heavily treed area, a larger, more expensive home, or it has just much worse brush and fire scores, then you could be up over $10,000 a year in terms of your annual insurance premiums. Something to note, something to take into consideration, and something to vet on any home you're looking at. get an insurance quote up front so you know what you're dealing with before purchasing a home in El Dorado County and specifically in Coloma and Lotus. Con number 3 of living in Coloma and Lotus is home prices. This is not the cheapest area of the county. If you've been watching a while, these numbers will be familiar to you, but the median home price in El Dorado County is about $635,000, which is heavily skewed by the numbers in South Lake Tahoe, where homes are quite expensive. The median home price in Placerville, as of the recording of this video in the fall of 2024, is around $500,000. So when you look at Coloma and Lotus, it's going to be quite a bit above the average. Now, I can't really give you a median for Coloma and Lotus because it's really statistically irrelevant numbers. Like I said, they're really small towns. More on that later. So in the last 6 months, 6 homes have sold in those areas. And right now there's maybe 7 or 8 that are actively for sale down there. So the median, although it will list as around 850,000, really isn't statistically relevant. So it's better to give you a range. So in the solds in the last 6 months, the houses have fallen between 500,000 and 1.25 million. And in the actives right now on the market, the cheapest home available in the Coloma Lotus area is around $580,000, and the most expensive is 1.95 million. That gives you a little bit of an idea. But if you were to call me on the phone and say, what's it going to take for me to get into a reasonable house that I want to live in Lotus, I would tell you it's going to fall in the $650,000 to $800,000 range. So that isn't huge numbers, especially if you're watching from the Bay Area or LA, where your median home price ranges from 1.4 to 1.7 million. But for El Dorado County, it is a higher priced part of the county because of that beautiful river, because of all the beautiful nature, and because you're on larger lots with bigger acreage. So if the cost of homes is a big issue for your family and this falls outside of your budget, it may mean that Coloma and Lotus isn't the right place for you because it's definitely not a budget-friendly real estate market. Con number 4 of living in Coloma and Lotus is drive times. Look, it's not that far out. Like I said, it's only about 15 minutes to Placerville, 15 to 20 to the highway, 15 to 20 to the hospital, 45 to 50 to downtown Sacramento. It's not that far out, but if you're doing that multiple times a day, it can start to wear on you. If you have kids in the schools, and the school you've got your kids in doesn't have a bus system, so you're doing that 15 to 20 minutes each way to drop them off and to pick them up and then to take them to sports and then to take them to a friend's house for the play date. Also, there's not a large or significant grocery store in Coloma and Lotus, so if you got to swing by the grocery store and you forgot to incorporate into one of those other trips, it's another 15 to 20 minutes back and forth to get to the grocery store. It can start to add up. So if you're a young family living an active life and you're in and out of the house all day long, the drive times in Coloma and Lotus can start to add up on you, and that might be something that makes it not the right community for you. Con number 5 of living in Coloma and Lotus, and this is kind of a funny one, and over the years I've had a lot of clients who have relocated there coming from the city comment on this, is rural traffic, which is different than big city traffic. You're not going to have big city traffic or big slowdowns or that sort of thing, but you are going to have rural traffic, and sometimes this fries people's noodle when they first move to town. In fact, all of the roads in and out of Coloma and Lotus are just one lane going each direction. That's it. So if you pull out behind a farmer in his tractor, you're not going anywhere very fast. If you pull out behind a logging truck, you're not going anywhere really fast. If you pull out behind an RV, you're not going anywhere really fast, and there's not a lot of passing lanes. If you pull out behind someone who's not comfortable driving rural twisty roads, you're not going anywhere fast. And although there are alternate routes in and out of town, if you use the route directly on Highway 49, which goes through Marshall Gold Discovery State Park, for a big chunk of that, the speed limit drops to 25 miles an hour while you're driving through the park proper. So again, you're not going anywhere fast. So if you're from the city and you're used to, when there's not big traffic and lots of cars around, getting to zip around fast and do whatever you need to do, well, it's a little slower pace of life and there's other things going on, and you might just hit some of this rural traffic. Just the other day, I was taking my kids down there to hike, and somebody's goats had gotten loose on Highway 49, and we ended up for a half an hour on the side of the road helping these guys wrangle their goats and get them back into the fence. So it's that kind of place. It's rural traffic and there's rural things going on, and you have to have a little bit of flexibility and openness for your timeline during the day to change. And if not, if that kind of stuff will really drive you nuts and fry your noodle, then Coloma and Lotus might not be the place for you. All right, now we've come to our maybe. And our maybe is that these are small towns in the winter and they turn into big towns in the summer. The population of Coloma, are you ready? It's 237 people. The population of Lotus is 763 people. Now you add those two together and you get exactly 1,000 people. There are 1,000 year-round residents. Now that's an uptick because when I lived there, there were about 600 year-round residents. So in the winter, these are small, sleepy little towns with just 1,000 people in them total. In the summer, when it's time for rafting, you have all the raft guides coming into town. You have all the drivers coming into town. You have all the food people coming into town. You have all of the tourists coming into town to do the rafting, and the population swells, especially on the weekend, to thousands and thousands. In my opinion, this was what I loved most about the town. I got my sleepy little rural town, not having to deal with anybody in the winter, and then in the summer, all the restaurants were packed. There's live music every Friday, Saturday night, and there's lots of people coming in and out of town, and town is really bumping, and there's a lot going on, and it's really fun for the months of the summer. And then all those people go away, and I get my sleepy little town back in the winter. I absolutely loved it. However, if you're moving here and you're looking at those numbers and you're saying, hey, 1,000 people or less, that's my jam. I don't have to deal with anybody. I'll be out in the woods, nobody in my face. Then when those thousands of other people move in for the summer, you might get a little salty, and it might not be your favorite time of the year, having to deal with all the tourists coming in. This is something that's common to all tourist towns. Coloma and Lotus is no different. I really enjoyed it, thought it was great, but it might be a deal breaker for your family. Only you can decide. All right, that wraps up our discussion of the pros and cons of living in Coloma and Lotus. And I hope this really helped you decide if Coloma and Lotus is right for your family. But if you're not sure yet and you want to check out some of our other towns in the area, you can click this playlist right here for the pros and cons of many other El Dorado County towns. And if you'd like to see these towns pitted in a one-on-one, head-to-head battle, you can click this playlist right here for my town versus town videos and see which one of the towns wins for your family. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for making it to the end with me, and I'll see you on the next one.